Hi everyone, welcome back to Young and Wifed Up. This is Marcella.
And I'm Gabby.
And thanks for joining us this week for another episode.
So before we get started, we have a few things that we want to chat about. One of those things is how you can support our podcast for free. And that is by leaving a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And the reason I said 5 stars is because if you're not going to leave 5 stars, then why are you listening? I'm just kidding. You can leave us whatever rating you want, but we would really appreciate a 5-star rating with a review on Apple Podcast and a 5-star rating on Spotify, because that is how we get on people's algorithms on their home screens when they're looking for a new podcast to listen to. And if they listen to content that is similar to ours and we get further up on the charts with rating and reviews, then people can find our podcast. So that is a free way that you can support our podcast. And Marcella's going to tell you about a way that's not free to support our podcast.
Okay, so the not free way is that you can become a patron on our Patreon. And there are 3 different tiers that you can choose from, and they all come with different perks. Some of them have access to bonus content, like bonus episodes. And then our top tier, you get to hop on a video call with us once a month. And there's just lots of different ways that you can get extra content, more interaction with us, with other women in the Young and Wifed Up community. So we would love if you could also support us by becoming a patron on our Patreon.
Awesome. I'm trying not to laugh because Marcella is currently sitting on her kitchen floor because she needed to be closer to an outlet.
Yeah, the last episode we recorded, it started at 18%, and I was like, okay, let's see how long. And then as Gabby was talking, it just got lower and lower. And by the time we stopped, it was at 5%, and I was like, okay, I gotta plug this in right now. Anyway, so I'm sitting on the floor, and if you're watching on YouTube, then I'm a lot closer to you guys than I usually am when I have you on my table. But if you're just listening, it makes no difference anyway.
That's very true. Well, today we want to chat about what's been going on with you and your family and anything notable in the past couple months, because we want our last 2 episodes of this month to be just chatting about topics that we're, wanting to talk about. So we want to do a catch-up episode since it's been a little while since we recorded. So what has been going on with you guys?
Yeah, so let's see. Past couple of months, I guess the most eventful thing that happened was that I did go with Liam to Vegas to visit Gabby and Ryan for it was a little less than a week, and I technically lost a day because of we had some traveling issues getting out there. So I was telling the girls on our video chat the whole story that we had. We had a video chat last week with all of our queens on our Patreon. I was just telling them, it was so funny because the same thing happened to one of the girls that's that we were talking to, and a very similar situation. Anyway, I ended up missing a connecting flight of no fault of my own. In fact, me and probably hundreds of other people that day missed connecting flights from Dallas out to many places. Vegas was one of them. And so Liam and I got stranded in Dallas for
24 hours.
24 hours.
Yeah.
Because we landed there at 11 p.m. on Saturday night, and we missed our flight. I don't know. I mean, if you've ever been to the DFW airport, it is huge and annoying to get from terminals and gates and everything. I've been through there a few times in connecting flights, and so I was familiar with what I needed to do, but it's still just like it takes a long time to get from one side of the airport to the other side of the airport. And anyway, lots of mix up. Essentially, by the time we landed in Dallas, they had given us maybe 20 minutes to get off the plane and to our gate. And like, if you have ever traveled before and have dealt with short connection times, you know that that is pretty much near impossible, especially at an airport like Dallas Airport. And so, anyway, it was crazy. And I was wearing Liam and I was like pack muled with like two huge bags, like trying to lug through the airport. And yeah, we ended up missing it. And then hotels were all booked up, trying to find a place to stay. I really feel like if we had been stranded there during the day, it would have been way less stressful. So yeah, we were stuck there in the middle of the night. So it was kind of like a panic trying to figure out where we were going to sleep because there were also no flights going out. I don't know if it wasn't like to anywhere, but I know to Vegas, there was nothing until 6 p.m. the following evening. So, yeah, I was like, I can't be here at the airport, all overnight. Like, eventually, we're going to have to sleep somewhere. And obviously, I'm not going to do that in an airport if I don't have to with a 9-month-old. And anyway, so yeah, didn't have a car seat, had very little supplies, diapers, like, you know, anything you could think of that you would normally need to pack. I thankfully packed one of my bags like an overnight bag just for that very reason, just in case. And that's usually what I do if I'm checking a bag and doing a carry-on at the same time. And so anyway, we finally found a hotel with the help of some of my family. They were like calling for me, and on top of that, like my service was going in and out. And so I was having a hard time getting any calls out to anywhere to find somewhere to stay. And found somewhere, got shuttled to a hotel, and the ladies there they felt so bad. They were so nice, and they were like, I can't believe you got stranded here with a baby. That's like the worst thing that could happen. And so thankfully we did have a safe place to sleep that night for like maybe 3 hours. Like by the time we got to sleep, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. And, we were up a few hours later trying to figure out what we were going to do to kill time until we left. Again, they shuttled us back to the airport. And then we got delayed again. Our flight was supposed to leave at like 6:15 or something like that. It got delayed an hour. And then all of a sudden, like 7 o'clock rolls around, we're supposed to be boarding, and there's no plane. And we're all looking out this huge window, and there's no plane there, like ready to take us on board, to take us to Vegas. And we're all wondering, what are we going to do? And so, all of a sudden, one by one, all of these flights to Vegas out of DFW are being canceled. And all of us are just waiting for our speed drop because we're like, we're next. And so by this time, I had kind of like coordinated some points of contact in Dallas of somewhere that I could stay, including like a Dallas RP and then some really old family friends that, I haven't talked to in forever, but we knew were out there that I was in contact with, like, hey, I might be stranded here again. I might need help. I was running out of diapers. I was like running out of a bunch of stuff. And nowhere in the airport were you able to buy things like that, which is so insane to me. And anywhere that was like stocked with like free baby supplies were completely swiped out. And so I was like kind of starting to panic a little bit, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Anyway, they did not end up canceling our flight, but it did get delayed by 5 hours total. So originally we were supposed to leave at 6. we actually ended up leaving at like 11 p.m. on Sunday evening. And in between that time, they changed our gate 4 times, which was just absolutely cruel because these poor by the time, like, I forgot which gate change they had gotten to, and I was like, "I am not leaving until it is literally an hour before, and I know for sure they're not gonna change it again, and I'm not leaving this spot," because I just could not walk around anymore. I was so tired. And, anyway, so yeah, eventually we ended up flying out to Vegas, left at 11 p.m. at night, and then we ended up in Vegas at midnight local time. And, yeah, it
Didn't you
was
say that it was the only plane that didn't get canceled to Vegas?
yes, yeah, so our flight
Crazy.
was that whole, like, second half of the day was the only one that was not canceled. I think there were 5 other flights that were completely canceled. I had even talked to people who had been stranded there since 2 days before, and they kept trying to get out to Vegas, and they could not. They kept getting stuck and canceled and, like, reverted to another flight and, like, all this stuff, and so, yeah, it was very crazy. Thankfully, Liam was pretty chill most of the time. He got like a little bit fussy on the flight like a few times, but because it was so late and I think he was just so exhausted, he slept for like at least 2 hours on the flight to Vegas. But yeah, it was definitely the worst traveling experience ever. And it's just hard because, when you're in an airport, there's such limited resources for you to like have access to. And pretty much all the things that I needed, I felt like they did not have. And I know that's not the case for all airports, but it was just weird. Like you would think that an airport that big would have like somewhere to like buy diapers or like something like that just in case, but staff was not keeping up with like refilling like the diapers in their nursery rooms and things like that. And so I went to so many different places where I was like looking online, like, oh, go to this place and there should be diapers there. And every place I went to did not have that. And so there was a lady I ran into just by chance. I think it was the Lord because I ended up
It was
going
an
to
angel.
I ended up going to the wrong gate at first. And I was like 2 gates off away. So it was just like a quick jaunt, like over to the correct gate. But I was like just not thinking clearly. And so I went to the wrong gate at first. And this was like probably an hour and a half before we were supposed to be boarding. And it was like 9:30 by this time. And, we were so tired. And of course, like Liam decides to have like a poop marathon. Or so I'm like running out of diapers so quickly, and I'm like, oh my goodness, why is this happening of all times? And I ran into this mom, and she had a baby who was really close in size to Liam. And I think she just noticed I was like kind of distraught. And she was like, do you need anything? Like, are you okay? And I was like, I've been stuck here since last night. And I was like, I really need diapers. And she was like, I have a ton. And so she gave me this huge stack of diapers. And all I could think of was like, and then like a little bit after that, I had realized that I was at the wrong gate and I had to go. I was like at D28 or something or 26, and I had to go to 28. I don't know, something like that. And I just realized, like, man, if I had gone to the right gate, I may have never ran into her. And there weren't really a lot of families in the airport. Like, she was like one of the very few that I ran into that actually had like an infant with her. And so it wasn't like there were swarms of babies around that moms could just like hand their diapers out. And plus, like, if you only have so many, you have to be kind of conservative of like how much you're lending out because you got to make sure you have enough for your own. But she just had a ton extra, and even her husband was like, "No, give her more. No, give her more." And she was like, "Okay, here's like huge stack of diapers." And so that was like such a relief for me, and the Lord definitely provided during that time. Anyway, so yeah, got out to Vegas, and then I was sad because I like wanted to meet all of their church family on Sunday morning, but obviously I couldn't because I wasn't even there. I did end up meeting their pastor and his wife, and they were so sweet. And they like came over to the house for dinner, and we hung out for like 5 hours or something like
Yeah.
that. We were over for such a long time, and it was such like just good fellowship with them. And then I also met one of her close friends from church as well, and she was really sweet. And yeah, I wish I could have met everybody. That was the plan originally, but
Everybody was praying for you guys. Like at our
yeah,
fellowship meal that Sunday, like everybody knew. I was like freaking out the whole time, checking my phone the whole time, texting you, trying to
mhm.
figure out if you were going to make it. And everybody was praying for you and everybody was asking about you. People were texting me that night, like, did she make it? Did she make
Yeah,
it?
yeah, I really did think that I was gonna get stranded for a second night. All of us who were on that flight were like, "We don't believe this until we're up in the air and in
Yeah.
Vegas."
Yeah.
We thought for sure we were gonna be there on Sunday night as well, and I was gonna have to miss another day. Anyway, so it ended up being like 4 whole days of me being there, which was
Mhm.
absolutely not enough time. Like, I
No.
so wish I could have been there for like an extra week.
Yeah.
Um, but we enjoyed the time that we did have, and yeah, we went and, did some fun things, and I kind of saw around. And it's so funny because like the climate there is very similar to where we used to live in California.
Mhm.
Like high desert, type vibes, and expansive, and like you can see for miles. And I just like remember when we were driving out somewhere one day, we were running errands, or I don't even remember what we were doing, and we like got on the highway, or I don't even remember, but it was like, wow, I can see like all the way over there. It's so nice. It was like it almost felt like I could breathe again. Like my anxiety like was like instantly lifted. And I think it's just like a difference in like this is what I grew up with, and so this is like
Mhm.
what's
It's what you're
so
comfortable
comfortable
with.
and like
Yeah.
familiar is like
Yeah.
being able to see hundreds of miles in one direction, and you cannot see that far. Sometimes I can barely see more than 100 feet in front of me because there's so many trees out here, and it's so funny because like when we lived in California, it was like wow, like being somewhere that's green all the time is like the height of luxury, and like that's like so like the best thing ever. But now I almost feel like having such open space is like the luxury, and I so wish that I could have it back. And it just like makes me so homesick all the time.
Yeah.
Just feeling very like claustrophobic, like in this very dense green. And it's still
Yeah.
really beautiful out here, but it's just it's taken me so much longer to get used to. I'm still not used to it. I'm still not used to it. Anyway, and it's funny because I, like, thought I was crazy, but then my mom started telling me that she, like, was feeling the same way, like, a couple of months after they moved out here. She was like, "I don't
Mhm.
know, I just, like, feel, like, so,
Boxed
like"
in.
yeah, like, I
Yeah.
can't explain it. I was like, "Me too, I'm feeling this way this whole time," and I just, like, can't describe, like, what that is of just like not being able to see that far ahead of you, and like
Yeah.
to see that there's other people out there, because like when you're here it's like you can just only kind of see this very small like mile of radius. Anyway, so it just made me miss the desert so much, which is I never thought I would say that, but I really 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 do so much miss the desert,
Yeah.
even with the heat and like everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, the trip was really nice. The traveling back was way more straightforward, way less crazy. No, there's like hardly any delays. Really, whatever there was negligible. Like it was just it was so different from having to get out there. And then I was so tired for so long. I felt like it was taking me so long to like get back into the swing of things, and like traveling is already so hard, and then doing it with an infant, and then being the only adult that's doing literally everything the entire time, like when you're actually traveling is like very, very exhausting. And so, yeah, I didn't really have a lot of time to recoup. And so I like felt like it was taking me so much longer to like get back into the swing of things. And then we've like been dealing with some illness here and there since I've been back. I got to see my brother while I was out there, which was really nice because I don't even remember the last time that I saw him.
Probably more than a year ago.
I think it's been like a year and a half. Yeah.
Yeah.
It must have been like holiday season,
Mm-hmm.
in like 2022,
Yeah,
probably was the
literally.
last time I
Yeah.
saw him. Which was like right before we moved. So anyway, it was nice to see him and catch up with him. And it was the first time that he met Liam. And yeah, that was fun. To hang out with him for a little bit. And yeah, like currently, like now, because I guess it's been a few weeks. No, a month. We're not in June
Yeah.
anymore. It's
Yeah, it's
July.
July. It's been a
July
month since you've
1st.
been
It's
here.
literally been a
Mhm.
month.
Mhm.
An actual month. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think like what it's just like the daily grind,
Yeah.
like
Back at it.
yeah, really back at it. I feel way more tired now. I don't know why. I just have been
It
feeling
could be
very
the
exhausted.
summer. I feel
It
like
could
I'm
be.
so drained by how like the heat, and I know that you and I
Right.
experience heat differently now, so that since you have humidity and I have zero humidity,
Yeah.
which there's pros and cons obviously. But we do push like 120 in the summer. So if I step outside my house for like any amount of time, I'm exhausted. Like it's just
Yeah.
the heat is draining and you're like sweating a lot more. So then like you're
Mhm.
just a lot more energy is coming out of you. So it could be
Yeah.
that, it affects your
Yeah.
hormones, it affects everything.
Right. And I wish that it didn't affect me physically so much, but it definitely does. Like I feel like I get nauseous so much more easily if I'm out in the heat for too long.
Mhm.
And it's not even like, oh, like, well, you're just dehydrated. And it's like, well, no, because that still happens even if I'm like drinking tons of the
Yeah.
right things and
Yeah.
everything. It's just, yeah, it's really hard to explain, but it definitely like wears on you a whole lot. Um, Still dealing with crazy bugs out here. Yeah, my body just also does not do well with mosquitoes. Um, I have like really bad allergic reactions to them. So that makes it challenging also to go outside. uh,
Everything is beckoning you to stay inside.
yeah, which stinks because then I feel like my mood is so off and like my energy levels are like not where they should be. And like, the boys need to be outside like to some extent, even during the summer. And so it's like trying to figure out how to manage all of the things that like could make me physically like not do well during the summer is really has
Yeah.
been really tough. But I am just like trying to think of like, man, last summer I was very pregnant
Mhm.
and miserable.
You're like, "Thank you,
Being
Lord, for
pregnant in the
this summer."
summer. And so I'm just like trying to think like, okay, what are all the things that I was wishing I had the energy to do and I just need to go and do them.
Mhm.
That I was like, "Oh, I'm pregnant, and it's just so hard," and, you're already, like, so exhausted, and it's so hot, and all these different things, and it's like, I'm not pregnant anymore, and so I have more energy, and I feel
Yeah.
better generally. Um, anyway, so, yeah, um, yeah, not a whole lot besides that I can think of off the top of my head. Um,
The kids
Liam
are
is
doing good.
Yeah, Liam's getting around for sure. He's been crawling for a while now, but now he's working on standing. Um, so we'll see if he ends up beating out the other two for how soon he ends up walking. He might, but I think it also helps that he sees Seth and Eli running around all the time, and he just like wants to join in with them. And he's finally at like the age and size and like the developmental stage where he can like join in on the dog pile now and like get involved in the ruckus. And Seth and Eli just love it. They're obviously way more gentle with him than they are with each other, but they still like try to include him in like the roughhousing, you know, to an extent. Like it's really funny and it's really sweet. So yeah, just seeing them interact more, like the three of them together, because like when there's a new baby, it's always the older kids are playing with each other and the baby is like with mom all the time, and like he still is mostly with me, but when they start to venture out and like, you know, with the big boys, and
It's so cute.
it is so cute, it's very cute. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else. Yeah, Seth and Eli are doing well.
Seth
Doing
is in his
great.
puzzle era.
Yeah, Seth is in his puzzle era. He's like really gotten into puzzles, like finishing like crazy puzzles in such a short amount of time. And so we're like trying to keep on top of like beating his puzzle addiction right now. It's just like it's so good for their brains, and like it's just a good quiet activity for him to do like during the day and stuff, and just like yeah. And then Eli is just like a wrecking ball. That's like best way to describe him. He's just like the funniest. He's such a character. He is such a character. Oh my goodness. Like
He's you, dude.
he has, yeah, I guess my mom is always like, "It's you, you're your mother," whenever she's
Yep.
like talking to him. But he like has a new tagline like every single week of like this new funny thing that he starts saying, and like this new funny thing he starts doing, and he's just a clown. Like he's just very, very big personality
Oh
for
yeah.
sure. A lot more social than Seth. And it definitely shows like he's gonna be more of the fearless one, I think. And so we're like having to keep an eye on him.
Literally, he's trouble, man.
Yeah, but it's just the best. So yeah, we have in the next couple of months we're gonna start, well actually I guess technically this month we have kind of all of the birthdays and the rest of the family that are going to be lined up for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I'm the only one in the family that's at the beginning of the year, and everybody else, like Jed is in July this month, and then the rest of the boys are all at the end of the year, September, October, December. And so yeah, we're like, you know, trying to save up for all the birthdays and like holiday things that are gonna be coming up in the next little while here. So yeah, and then Jed's doing well. Daily grind for him too, working, doing the dad thing, doing the husband thing. Yeah, I've been slacking a lot on my reading. I'm like trying, I like pick it up when I can. Even audiobooks, like I just feel like sometimes it's so hard to like be like tuned in to what I'm listening to. Anyway, yeah, doing some crochet projects here and there, and I have like some container gardening outside that takes up some of my time as well. Yeah, about it. Nothing crazy.
Awesome. Well, thanks
Except for
for
the
this
traveling
update.
thing.
I love hearing the crazy story over and over again, even though I was like living it with you.
Yeah.
It's just like so unbelievable, some of the stuff that was happening, because I don't think you mentioned, but the reason there was all these delays is because there was this crazy storm in Texas for like several days, and it just like, I'm sure somebody knows somebody that was stuck in that, because I was hearing like even people at our church were like, oh, my friend got stuck in that, or somebody got stuck in this, and I'm just like, wow, this like storm like wrecked people's worlds for a few days. But yeah, we're all glad that you made it through and now you have a story to tell. So
Yeah. Yep.
all right, guys. Well, we hope you enjoyed the catch-up episodes the past couple weeks, and next week we're going to be jumping into another topic. So we'll talk to you guys then. Bye.
Bye.